You know, for more than 100 years, there's been one song that has been the absolute rallying cry for India's freedom, Vande Mataram. But what happens when a brand new government rule takes that very symbol of unity and throws it right into the middle of a huge political firestorm? Well, that's exactly what we're going to unpack today.
So yeah, you gotta wonder, right? How can a song written way back in the 1870s all of a sudden become a major flashpoint in modern India? The answer, it turns out, starts with a pretty recent government decision, one that basically flips a decades-long tradition right on its head.
So where does all this come from? Well, it all kicks off with this new mandate. A fresh set of guidelines is completely redefining how India's national song has to be performed at official events, and it's changing a practice that's been around for a very, very long time.
Okay, so here's the deal. This is the core of the change. For ages, the tradition was super simple. You'd only sing the first two stanzas of Vande Mataram. But on January 28, 2026, the Ministry of Home Affairs put out a new rule. Now, the entire song has to be sung or played. And that takes it from about a minute long to over 3 minutes.
And really, it all boils down to this one number, 6. All 6 stanzas of the original poem must now be performed. No more shortcuts, no more abbreviated versions. It's the full thing, every single time.
So what's in these new guidelines exactly? Well, they've been sent out to every state and union territory. At all government functions, all 6 stanzas are now mandatory. Schools are being encouraged to have students sing the full version, and everyone in the audience has to stand at attention. But maybe the biggest shift of all is this. Vande Mataram will now be played before the national anthem at official events.
Okay, so this just begs the question, right? If the song has 6 stanzas, why has India spent pretty much a century singing only the first 2? Well, the answer isn't so simple. And to get to the bottom of that, we have to dig into the song's pretty complicated past. And this history, wow, it really gets to the heart of the whole thing. It explains exactly why that 2-stanza tradition was put in place to begin with. See, when the poem was written by Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay, he wove in these later verses that very clearly connect the motherland, this idea of the divine feminine, with specific Hindu goddesses like Durga, Lakshmi, and Saraswati. And that imagery, well, it kicked off a debate almost right away. So all this debate led to what's known as the 2-stanza compromise. Back during the freedom struggle, a lot of leaders felt that, hey, citizens from other faiths might feel left out by these really specific religious references. So, to keep everyone united, they reached a consensus. Officially, we're only going to use the first 2 stanzas, which are a bit more secular. You can really see how this all played out on a timeline. The poem's written in the 1870s, then it's set to music by the one and only Rabindranath Tagore, and by 1937, that 2-stanza compromise is officially agreed upon. This wasn't just some casual choice, it was a really important decision made to hold a very diverse freedom movement together. And that brings us right back to today, and the political explosion this has caused. The government's decision to just overturn this historic compromise has, as you can probably guess, ignited a massive political debate. So if you look at it from the government side, they don't see this as being about exclusion. They see it as correcting a historical mistake. Their view is that the 2-stanza rule was basically a form of appeasement, a compromise that was made just to satisfy the whims and fancies of the Muslim League before independence. But oh man, the opposition, especially from West Bengal where the song came from, they see it totally differently. The Trinamool Congress is bringing up historical giants from the state, asking a really sharp question. Does the current government actually think it's wiser than visionaries like Rabindranath Tagore and Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, who were part of making that original compromise? Then you have the Congress Party, and they've got a whole other take on this. They're accusing the ruling BJP of using this issue to underline its nationalistic credentials. Now, this taps into a political argument that's been around for a long time, that the BJP's ideological ancestors weren't part of the freedom struggle, and now they're trying to claim its most powerful symbols as their own. So with all this back and forth, where do we go from here? Well, it turns out the whole debate about how many stanzas to sing, that might not even be the most significant part of this. There's one detail in the new guidelines that carries a whole lot of symbolic meaning. And this right here is probably the biggest bombshell of them all. The new guidelines say that at any event where both are played, the national song Vande Mataram is now going to be played first. It will officially come before the national anthem Jana Gana Mana. Now, this isn't just a scheduling change. It fundamentally reshuffles the hierarchy of India's national symbols, and that is a huge deal with some potentially long-lasting effects. And so, we're left with this incredible irony, aren't we?
A song that was once the great unifier for freedom is now right at the center of a new national fight. The big question is, will forcing everyone to sing the full version actually unite the country under one banner? Or is it just going to end up deepening the very political divides it once helped everyone overcome? I guess only time will tell.